Alright, hey guys, it's Cardtropolis TCG here. Today we're going to have a Prism deck profile for Cardfight Vanguard. Yeah, it's Dakota and Megan today. But yeah, so this is like our initial, well, my initial Prism deck. Basically what we're going to be doing is going over deck profiles of all the different Bermuda decks. Like a before and after. So this is like what I'm starting with. Then we're gonna be playing some games in the next like week or two, and then we'll do an updated one, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so Prisms is a deck that I played a long time ago, back when it first came out in like that first like extra booster. It came out early before like all the other break rides came out, so it's kind of unfair. But it's still like a favorite of mine. So I guess we'll just get started. Typically, I like to start with the grade 3s. So we have 4 Prism Image Vert, or Ver, however you want to pronounce it. I like mismatching my SPs sometimes. Does it show up well?
Yeah, it looks
cool. So Ver is a pretty powerful card. It's not like the best card to come out of this set, but I think it's very strong. Act once a turn, you can Soul Blast 1 card and bind a card with Prism in its card name from your rearguard or drop zone. If you bound a card, this unit gets drive +1. So triple drive is pretty good. Binding the card is very important for the next attack. Ideally, you want to bind from the drop zone, so then it's like more of a plus than binding from your rearguard, but worst case scenario, you are able to bind from the rearguard. There are 12 Prism targets in the deck. We have 4 of the grade 3, 4 Rosa, and 4 clear. So sometimes this deck can get a little clunky if you don't like draw enough of them early, but we have a lot of ways to like draw cards and discard throughout the deck, so it's not too hard. And then the second attack is Auto Vanguard. On attack, Counterblast 1, return all of your front row rearguards to your hand. Call up to 1 card with Prism in its card name from your bind zone to rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may call up to a total of 2 cards with Prism in its different card names to rearguard instead of 1. So this is pretty balanced. A couple things to note about it is it says return all of your front row rearguards to your hand. It does not say normal units. So some of the cards in Bermuda for the set only bounce normal units. So what's sweet about that is if your hand is hot garbage, you can call triggers early game to rush really hard, and then once you're on Ver, you can bounce the triggers back to your hand after you like pick off a rearguard or attack with like a force marker or something. So that's actually really fun, and I really like that playstyle because back when I played old Prisms, it was very common for me to just call out my entire hand, rush really hard with triggers, and then bounce them back to hand. So that's kind of, I like that very aggressive playstyle. Calling 1, like if you go first, you only get to call 1 Prism, so it's not as multi-attack as some of the other decks in the format right now. But if you go second, you get to call 2. Sometimes if you go second, it's hard to set up both your clear and Rosa, depending on what you draw. But so far it's not too hard. But yeah, this card's great. I think it's powerful. It's not unfair or anything. I love the triple drive, and the triple drive allows you to just get through your deck and find a lot of things. Also gives you a lot of shield, which is kind of how I built the deck. I built the deck to be very defensive, because that's like my play style. I like attacking, but like I like having more shield in the deck. So yeah, 4 Prism Image Ver as your boss unit. No other grade 3s. There's a lot of ways to search for your grade 3. And worst case scenario, you can just assist for 1. And I don't think there's anything else like I would want to ride. Like it's like a pure Prism deck. I don't want to ride anything else. I don't want any like trial deck grade 3s that I might accidentally have to ride, because I think you just lose the game if that happens. So yeah, so Ver's pretty strong. I'm pretty happy with the card. But yeah, let's get on to grade 2s. So next, we have 4 Prism Image Rosa. All right. So Vanguard Rearguard, on place, counterblast 1, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 2 cards with Prism in their card name from among them, put 1 into hand and bind up to 1. Shuffle your deck. So this is really important early game to draw as many of these as possible. Yeah, because like if you hit 2 prisms off this, you add 1 to hand and bind the other one. Most of the time, if you have the option, I'll just like, if you only hit 1 in the top 7, I'll just add it to hand because it's more important to get it into your hand. And Vare can Soul Blast to bind later, so that's usually fine. And then Rearguard, on place from Bind Zone. All of your front row units with Prism in its card name get 10,000 power, so that's nice. This deck doesn't generate a lot of force markers because the odds of rewriting in a 4 grade 3 deck aren't super high. So just, it's kind of like giving a force marker to your front row for the turn. So that's pretty cool. It is on place, so it can be on place from anywhere. So you can, early game, you can just call it, from your hand and try to use your counterblast efficiently. You can hit it off of Lieselot, and you can also, when you call it from your bind zone with Vare, you can also use it again. This and Vare are the only counterblasts in the entire deck. So typically you can't get like counterblast locked. If they do try to leave you with only 1 counterblast, you just Vare and get your multi-attack in. But yeah, no, it's very, very good card for the sub-archetype. But yeah, so I would just say it's a really important card to draw early. Probably it doesn't like have to be a ride target. It's good to ride, but it works Vanguard Rearguard, so it's not restricted to Vanguard only, which is nice and very helpful. Next we have 4 Choco Love Heart Lieselot. I think every Bermuda Triangle should be playing like this card in their deck. It's very good. Continuous from hand, it can be called as a grade 1, so early game you can call this and start getting units out to attack. What I was saying before is if you hit a trigger off this, again, you don't like, the resources in this deck are not super expensive. Like Vare Soul Blast and Counterblast, and then Rosa Counterblast. Nothing else in the deck has any cost really. So usually I will always call the card with this because I'll never run out of soul, and then I can just move that like trigger up, and then bounce it with Vare later. So that's really cool. But yeah, on place, Vanguard Rearguard, you can look at the top card of your deck, call it to Rearguard, or put it in your soul. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. And it can only be used by this card's name once per turn. That's, of course, to balance it. It'd be very unfair if you could just, like, multiple these slotted in a turn. But yeah, very good card. It's card advantage, which the deck has a decent amount of, but it's just early game card advantage that can be used later. And it has pretty good synergy with the next card, which is Top Idle Aqua, which is cool to have like a reprint. This card has, not been in the V series yet. During your turn, if you have another unit in the same column as this unit, it gets 5,000 power, so that's basically free, almost. And then Vanguard Rearguard, on place, return up to 1 of your other normal units. Back to what I was saying about bouncing normal units and not triggers. From Rearguard to hand, if you returned a card, draw a card, and then discard a card. And you can only use this card's name once per turn. So it's really good with Lieselot. It's you can also pair it with like Rosa and stuff. So if you go like turn 1, ride a grade 1, call a Lieselot, get something else, then on your turn 2, you can ride Aqua, bounce the Lieselot, replay the Lieselot, and use it again. So it's probably your best thing to ride if you're bouncing like a Lieselot or something. But yeah, very good card. Good synergy with the deck. It digs for like your grade 3 by letting you draw discard. Even if you're just bouncing like a grade 1, it still allows you to cycle. So I think that's good. Also, it's just a pretty good beater by itself, just 15 for pretty much no cost. And then my last grade 2. This is kind of a flex slot. I'm just playing Feeling Hide Realm. I've never actually looked at this name before. But yeah, it's just the triple rare from the Trowel deck. It's just a vanilla 10k shield grade 2. So I'm playing this because I wanted more grade 2s to rush with, and when I'm rushing, I want to have like more shield and stuff because I really like aggressive early games. So yeah, I just want more shield in the deck. There's a lot of other cards you could swap this with. There's like a Sonata grade 2 with Melody. That's basically a 15k beater, which is kind of the same as Aqua that you could play. I thought the power wasn't super relevant, and I just wanted the shield instead, but that might be swapped out later for something else. But for now, it's been fine. I haven't really noticed much. We've only played a couple games with this deck, so this is still in the beginning stages of it. But I just thought it was a cool card to play. So yeah, that's 14 grade 2s. The advantage of playing like so few grade 3s is the rest of your deck is just like all shield. So by opening up those slots, you get more attackers, and this card also is like a good defensive card. Like it can attack and it can defend, so it's kind of just a cool little card I like. All right, on to grade 1s. We have 15 grade 1s. So combo piece, we have Prism Image Clear, grade 1 Prism for the deck. On place Vanguard. Look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 grade 2 or greater card with Prism in its card name. From among them, put it in your hand. So this is a good ride target. Pretty much every single grade 1 in this deck is a good ride target because they all do something on Vanguard. This allows you to hit Rosa or Vert to secure your ride or to secure just getting prisms in general. So that's pretty cool. And then Rearguard only. When placed from bind zone, bind a card with Prism in its card name from your drop zone, draw a card, and it gets 10,000 power till end of the turn. I think if you are going first and can only call 1 card from your bind zone, this is the card you want to bind first, because when you place this from the bind zone, you get to bind another Prism, which will set up your next turn, because then you can use your Soul Blast again from Vert, and then you'll have 2 Prisms in your bind zone for next turn. Also, it draws a card and gets power, so if you call it to the spot with your Force Marker, it builds hand. It's another solid attack while your opponent's at grade 2. So I definitely like calling this first with Vert. Vert's on attack. With the Prisms, it's very good to like rush with them early. You don't care if your opponent attacks them because you want them to be in your drop zone, so you can use Vert to bind it. So rushing with these is really nice because if they attack them, then that's totally fine. You definitely want to like intercept with Rosa if you do rush. It's a very aggressive deck. Next we have Mermaid Idle Sedna. Again, kind of a blast from the past, very original card. It was the AK vanilla. Grade 1 AK, Vanguard Rearguard. During your turn, if you have another unit in the same column as this unit, it gets plus 5,000 power. So the exact same effect as Aqua. It's just a beater. It's basically free. With Aqua in the same column, it's 28. That's a really good number. And then on place from hand, look at top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 grade 3. You can add it to your hand and discard a card. So again, it digs for Vert, which is really important, and is a beater. This is probably the worst thing to ride in the deck, but like all of them do something on Vanguard. But ideally, I'd rather ride something else and then call this like behind the Vanguard. I think would be good. But yeah, pretty solid card that pretty much every Bermuda deck is playing right now. Next we have Mermaid Idle Ellie, and we're just pretty much getting all the old cards at this point, which is cool. So grade 1 AK, I've not been going over the powers, but they've all been pretty vanilla so far. They're all 8Ks, 10Ks, and 13Ks. Vanguard Rearguard, when its attack or the attack that it boosted hits a Vanguard, search your deck for up to 1 Ellie, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck, and put a card from your hand. And if you put a card into your hand and this card's on Rearguard, you retire this unit. So if you ride this and you hit, you get to search your deck for an Ellie, and then you don't have to sacrifice it. So it's like it's a free +1. It's better than a draw, I think, because like it sets up because it's very easy to set up the Ellie and get more shield. So we'll go to the second effect, which is Guardian Circle. On place, you can put an Ellie from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, and this unit gets plus 10,000 shield to end the battle. So this becomes like a heal trigger. It gets 20,000 shield, which is huge. huge defensive play. But yeah, so if you like ride this, you hit, you search for an Ellie, then by the time you get to Vert, you can Soul Blast this out if you want to, and then now it's in your drop zone and set up for you to guard with the other Ellie, and then you recycle it. I think this is a really good card. Very defensive card, but it's like perfect all game. Like early game, if you can call it to Rearguard, you can attack with it, and it like runs away because it retires itself to like search for another one. So you can deny. So normally, if you rush somebody, they'll deny you Counterblast. Sometimes by attacking your Rearguards. If they like let this hit, and then you get a search for an Ellie, this goes away, and now your like Vanguard's open to like be hit again. So then they have less Rearguards to attack. It's good behind your Vanguard because it adds on-hit pressure. It's good everywhere. It's good in the drop zone. It's good in your hand. It's good on the field. But yeah, very, very good card. Our last grade one, we have this 3 of Distinguished Wink Radka. It's the only non-foil on the deck, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh.
It's a common, but it's a really good common, so we're going to play it. But grade 1, 8k with 10,000 shield. Vanguard only when it attack hits, draw a card. So like what I was saying, just like everything in this deck has like on-hit pressure or good Vanguard skills. So, but yeah, so I guess like this might be the best ride target because you ride this and call an Ellie behind, and if that attack hits, you get to search your deck for an Ellie. You don't lose you can sack the Ellie, and then you can draw a card off this and just like set up everything. It's pretty cool. And then Act Rearguard, you can retire this unit, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to hand, and ditch the other to the drop zone. And you can only use that card like once per turn. So this basically is there as filler to search for Vert and sometimes discard a Prism. Because like the best thing you can do with this is like sack it, look at top 2, hit a Vert and like a Prism. You add the Vert to hand, ditch the Prism, and now you have your ride. It's very good like all game. Because you can just use it to search for things. Once you start getting like low on deck, you definitely don't use it. But it's good early game to make sure you ride a grade 3 and set up your Prism targets. But yeah, so that's 15 grade 1s. A lot of shield, a lot of on-hit pressure, but yeah.
When you say low on deck, what does that mean? Is drop out or deck out an issue with this?
Yeah, so we haven't played like enough games to where it's come up yet, but I usually end the games with, I would say, 10 to 15 cards in deck. I tried to build the deck as defensive as possible, but the format right now is super aggressive, so it's very easy to just die in the first 1 to 2 grade 3 turns. To like counteract that, I'm playing a lot of draws to try to like live. Because the deck has so much shield, because like this is 10k, this is 20k. You can afford to play a couple draws. I guess I'll get into the trigger lineup really quick. I'm playing 6 crit, 6 draw, and 4 heal. All draw PGs, no critical sentinels. I'm playing 6 draws because I like that the triple drive. I like the extra draws. If I'm playing that like early rush game, hitting a draw and like guarding your Rearguards with this just allows you to like keep the pressure up. I guess hitting a crit is like nice and all for applying more pressure, but I don't want to like count on like hitting things, so it's whatever. Also, it makes your damage checks better. It also gives you discard targets. Like with Sedna, like you can discard the extra draws. With Aqua, you can discard the extra draws. So it's like there's like ways you can get rid of them if you get stuck with them in your opening hand. But usually any kind of deck that, like, I think any deck that like triple drives, I love having extra draws in it. In MLB, I play 6 draw, and then in like Revon, I play like 6 draws. All the decks that like triple drive, I'm playing extra draws just to get huge hands to try and like live through these like really aggressive turns. Also, one thing to note is like some decks hit such high numbers, you have to get like 1 or 2 of your perfect cards in order to like live through turns. So by playing extra draws, I know it's not good to like draw your triggers, but if sometimes you hit a draw into a draw PG and like that you wouldn't have gotten like before, and sometimes you can live because of that. Yeah, so like back to the deck out thing. If you're triple driving and have extra draws and cycling through your deck and calling things and milling things, drawing things, searching things, like literally everything like cycles. So you will run out of deck pretty quickly. Ellie does a pretty good job of going to the bottom of the deck and kind of recycling, so that can add a couple cards to your deck throughout the game, which could buy you another turn. That being said, like if you are down to a certain number of cards, you don't have to Soul Blast to get the extra drive check, so you could like turn like one turn into 2 turns with that if you just want a twin drive, if you're hitting high enough numbers with like force markers and stuff. But yeah, so that's pretty much the deck profile. I have a lot of fun playing it. It's very like consistent. Like I tried to build it as consistent as possible. You do have to like kind of worry about getting your prism set up, but the rest of the deck is basically meant to only set those up pretty much. But yeah, do you have any comments?
Oh yeah, I think consistency is really just the biggest issue with this deck. I haven't really played with it yet, against it I should say. But with Clan Selection Volume 2, we're already getting Nectaria for the Prism Duo, and just having Prism in the name alone will make this deck more consistent, plus she'll have support. So yeah, this deck will definitely change, if nothing else by April, but definitely just version 1.0 for now. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, so if we're getting a new grade 1, a new grade 2, and a new grade 3, things that I see being cut are probably this for the new Prism grade 1, and probably like this and a couple Aquas. I don't think I would cut these a lot just because it's such a powerful card. And like while Aqua can bounce Rosa to reuse Rosa and stuff, or you can reuse like a couple things, you can reuse Sednas. I think Aqua's better like with Lieselot than Lieselot's like with like Aqua. Like I think I would rather cut Aquas before Lieselots. Because if you cut Lieselots, your targets for Aqua get worse, whereas if you cut Aquas, like it's fine.
Yeah, and who knows? The new support might bounce. I mean, only time will tell.
Oh yeah, I'm like worried about adding more grade 3s because it cuts like a lot of my slots. So that would be interesting. If you add more grade 3s, you can cut like maybe a couple like Sednas or something. Maybe you cut the Ellie engine if it becomes more aggressive, because Ellie is definitely a defensive card. But yeah, like I think you have to play all the new prisms just because it adds so many more targets to bind with Vert.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping like Nectaria is like a rear guard kind of effect, so you can like guard with it or something, send it to the drop zone, and then use Vert to bind it or something, and then call it on attack. That'd be cool. But I don't want it to like overpower Vert like on the Vanguard circle. I like Vert's multi-attack. I like the triple drive.
And the nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite units from Prisms. Maybe we'll get like Celtic or something.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be cool. But I don't know because Nectaria is from G, so I wonder if the Prisms will be from G.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Because isn't there
there's
is there a new Late grade 1? What's that like? There was a double rare that I remember playing like with Garnet, and there's a new
thinking
Celtic.
of like Garnet, Emerald, and Sapphire.
Yeah, okay, those.
Yeah, they're like gem prisms.
Yeah, so I'd be worried about getting those. I don't want those. I definitely want like Celtic or something.
Well, we're not getting Labrador.
I know
I mean, who knows?
That's a big rip.
V Premium too. There's just so much with potential and possibility.
Yeah. So we'll play this for the next couple months, and while the format is still standard, once it rotates, I'll probably still be playing this because this deck's fun. But yeah. So hopefully it gets better with the new getting more prisms. But I think it's perfectly fine right now. I think it's good enough to be played. Gurgua got hit. I think Angel Feather would be a tough matchup, like if you play against Gabriel, just because if they leave you at like 0 damage throughout the entire game, you have no counterblast to do multi-attack.
And we can play test.
Yeah,
I mean, that's definitely an upcoming video.
Yeah, we have pretty much like all the decks, so we can test against everything pretty much. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions or anything, feel free to make comments. I know this is like our first like Vanguard related video on the channel. We're pretty much doing all card games from here on out essentially. But But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Maybe it gave you guys some cool ideas or something on your Prism Vert decks. But thank you for watching, and yeah, bye.